Just letting everyone know we're going live and recording. It's uploading. Okay, I think we're live now. Yes, we are live.
How you doing? Oh.
Sorry, Judge, I had to mute you. We could all hear you.
Oh, okay. Benny is needing a link to get in. That was him.
Okay.
Look it up.
Okay, we are live and recording.
Okay.
And we have, it looks like we have another minute before we can start.
Okay, I'm showing it's 9 o'clock on December 11th. This meeting is now opened. Item number 1, discuss and take action on the line item transfers.
Yes, sir. Good morning. I do have several line item transfers. We've made known to the departments that this will be our last Commissioners Court to do transfers for fiscal year 2020. So we hope that this is all we have. I do want to bring to your attention on page 2 of 75, line item transfer 10,705. It is moving money out of the building maintenance facilities into capital outlay infrastructure in the horseshoe. It does save funds to cover change order 2020-15-19. What I found out from Christy was that this is for the lights at the horseshoe parking lot. I think there had to be a change order done, and that's why they're requesting additional funding on this. As far as there are several of the line item transfers that we have in the packet that they're old year, and they're just trying to fix some of the negative lines in the salary lines. A lot of them are just trying to cover any negative benefit lines. I don't want to go through them specifically because there are several of them. None that I feel that need to be brought to your attention, but I just do want to make sure that you are aware that there are departments that are trying to clean up maybe the COVID-19 time, maybe some of the benefits being in the negative, but they have requested line item transfer to cover some of these negative salary lines. The other one that I want to bring to your attention on page 68 of 75 starts all the new year transfers. Line item transfer 2021-15-13. 2021-15-25. It is moving money from building maintenance into capital outlay building in the facilities budget. On page 69 of 75, if you're following, $1,300, and the description is funds to cover Vandergrift work on Centennial Storage Building. So they're just requesting some money to be moved to pay for the Vandergrift work. I believe they did plans, site surveys, and RFPs, help with RFPs. And so that is a transfer that is being requested. So unless you have any questions on any of these, that is all I have as far as exceptions.
I'll make the motion to approve all line item transfers.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Item number 2 is to discuss, take action on bills and wire transfers.
Yes, sir. I have quite a bit of them this morning. Again, we were trying to cover all the 2020 bills so that we can go ahead and close out our year and get ready for our external audit. I do have some wire transfers for your consideration this morning. JP2 internet account, $382 deposited in general pulled cash account in error. Another JP2 internet account error, $51 deposited in general pulled cash, so it needs to be transferred back. And then I have a third one for the county clerk internet account, deposited in general pulled cash account in error, $339. Those are the wire transfers that I have for your consideration this morning. I do have some exceptions to the bills due to no POs, and I do have some additional bills that I am needing to request for you to go ahead and approve. The first one that I have without a purchase order is one for Justin Bunch. I believe he was needing to get for $46.72 to reimburse him directly for some plumbing supplies that he had to fix when he was trying to take a restroom trailer over to Midland Memorial Hospital. So he's asking for reimbursement on those supply lines. I do have one from South Plains Implement, $582.38 for facilities. The explanation provided says this South Plains invoice needs to be expensed. There was no PO written for this because Horseshoe contacts John with Vector and they contacted South Plains. So therefore, facilities department was not contacted in order for them to do a purchase order. So that was that one. I have one for VCA Greenbelt Animal Hospital for SO Patrol in the amount of $270.68. Explanation provided indicates that Duke, the canine for the Midland County Sheriff's Office, injured his tail on duty during the night shift. AZ clinic was closed and therefore he was taken over to the Greenbelt. Therefore, no PO was able to be provided. I do have several West Texas orthopedic for SO detention. Excuse me. This has to do with them taking inmates over from the jail over to West Texas Orthopedic for any kind of services. The current sergeant that approved all of these was not there before, and so he says he's not sure why there was no PO created or written. The person who was actually in charge of this is no longer with us, but we do have several West Texas Orthopedic invoices that need to be paid for, and a lot of them are old year invoices. West Texas Orthopedic, $459, one for $100, one for, or actually three of them for $100, one for $357, two for $100, one for $6,026, one for $1,491, $621, $3,908, $1,391, $544, $495, $1,446, $344, $653, $360, and another one for $200. These are all invoices for West Texas Orthopedic having to do with inmate medical services. So I will continue if you don't have any questions on that one.
Veronica, has Deputy Chief Matlock seen these or been talked? Has he been asked about them?
Not directly, but I know that I had spoken to the captain in regards to, because they were wanting, there were some that were on POs, but these were above and beyond the amount that was requested. But they were just requesting a roll forward the POs, and we told them we needed all, because they couldn't get all the invoices, and we just told them that we needed the invoice. The specifics on why they were without a PO, no, sir. Just the fact that we needed to get these paid for the 2020 fiscal year.
Okay, thanks.
Andy Matlock, do you have anything to add on those invoices?
No, ma'am. I did want the commissioner to understand, we have looked into the process to ensure it's not going to happen anymore. And as you said, and I don't want to use any names, the person that was doing this previously is no longer with us. We have not filled that lieutenant's position yet. We are doing interviews for it, and whoever that lieutenant is that will take this process over will be doing the PO. So prayerfully, we won't be running into this situation, Commissioner Donnelly, next year.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So the next ones that I have are for SO Patrol. I have some vector invoices that they wanted to go ahead and take care of. I think the explanation on these, I, Lieutenant Richard Hain, met with John Warren from Vector Fleet in reference to several invoices that were sent through without requisitions, non-contract vehicle maintenance. All future requests will have requisitions for non-contract vehicle maintenance before work can be approved. The below invoices were checked to by John Warren, and he established that was owed by the patrol division. There are several invoices that Lieutenant Hain has already approved for services already rendered, and he's talked from his email explanation. He has talked to John to make sure that in the future they will be be notified prior to, so they can get purchase orders. I have an invoice for $559.87, one for $8,399.99, one for $721.88. One for $160.58, one for $248.81, $1,179.50, $762.09, $4,962.91. Again, we want to go ahead and make sure we take care of these because these are fiscal year 2020 invoices. As I told Lieutenant Hain, is that if we don't take care of those now, those will come out of the 2021 budget. So he is requesting that we go ahead and take care of these. That is all I have in regards to exceptions. I do have some additional invoices that I would request that you go ahead and approve. I have one for Boone Chapman for our health and dental fees for December in the amount of $111,813.88. This is just the monthly bill for Boone Chapman for health and dental fees. The other invoices, I have 3 invoices for clinical pathology laboratories of $5,600, $300, and $100. And this has to do with when we were doing the COVID testing of our jailers over at detention. There is sufficient funds to cover all of these, but we go in their budget. But I just need your approval so I can go ahead and get all of these paid. Again, there was no PO on these. And so therefore we couldn't ask for reimbursement under the CARES grant. And so these will have to come out of the general fund for the fiscal year 20 because there was no POs obtained prior to services. I am also asking for, I believe during the last Commissioners Court meeting, you guys discussed the reimbursement of a family for concrete liner, gravesite equipment, and setup. Basically, we're now reimbursing the funeral home, Llewellyn Garcia Pipkin Funeral Home, $1,390, having to do with something that you had already approved during the last Commissioners Court meeting. For I believe her name is Rosa, and I don't remember what the last name is, but they've already reimbursed her. We are reimbursing the funeral home for those fees. Can
you tell me, Veronica, what are those fees in regards to?
The name of the deceased, is that, or what are you needing? That
just what are we paying those fees? I mean, what is it?
Okay. There is a concrete liner for $695. Gravesite equipment and setup for $695, bringing that to a total of $1,390.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm also asking for an additional bill for the December transplant fees for HCC Life Insurance Company. This is just a monthly fee that we pay. We just hadn't had a chance to really review it. So just asking, once we review it, asking for your request to go ahead and get this one paid for. And then I have one last one that was given to me just yesterday. It is in regards to the CARES grant. And we want to go ahead and take care of it. I believe they were doing the HVAC ionization for all those filters over at the Horseshoe. And the amount of the invoice is for $75,535. Because we have to submit all of the expenses for the CARES Act grant by December 1st. We want to go ahead and get this one paid for, so that way we can go ahead and account for it. And that is all I have.
Can you tell me again the how much those filters were?
This is just for the Horseshoe Arena, and is $75,535 that we will submit for reimbursement through the CARES grant.
Okay.
Veronica, was that for equipment or for services?
I believe that is for installation. Proposed scope of work will entail installation and startup GPS bipolar ionization for the requested units.
Okay.
And that's that Veritech stuff?
That is the Veritech solution.
On your list there, it's 74,309.
It is 7,400, 3,009. But then there is an additional 1,226. It says to add 2 36-inch eye ribs. I couldn't tell you what exactly that is, and Justin's probably on the line and would be more knowledgeable on that. But there's 2 36-inch eye ribs for 1,226 also added to that invoice.
Okay.
And that is all I have as far as bills this morning.
I'd make the motion that we pay all bills, including these additional bills and wire transfers.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Item number 3, discuss take action on court minutes from November 23rd and December 7th, 2020.
Yes, good morning. You should have been sent those minutes for your approval.
I'll make a motion to approve both sets of minutes from November 23rd and December 7th.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimous. I'm going to move on to item number 5, discuss and take action amending contract with Sanchez Mortician Services. And I'm going to ask for any input from the board. I'll just make a brief comment. I believe we're being offered a service and with a increase in rate. I think if you boil all of this down that's been discussed, that's essentially what's happening. And it's based on the fact that this is my perception, that we may be facing more bodies than the hospital can handle and the current capacity at Sanchez Mortuary can handle. This seems to be, in my opinion, a long-term cure for a very short-term, or it's a long-term solution for a very short-term issue. And I'm just going to put, we've got the refrigerated trailer from the state that comes with no cost. And yet we're being asked to increase our expenses over a long period of time. And I've been in touch literally since all of this happened with the hospital, with Russell Myers, Dr. Wilson, all these folks. The need doesn't seem to be there in their opinion. I believe we all received an email yesterday of their assumptions of what this is. So I'm just going to throw that out there. I would ask for other comments from the rest of the court.
Judge, in regards to the trailer that you just talked about from the state, you said no cost. I know that we were talking about there's some type of a fuel cost. Is that something that's covered by the CARES Act as well, or how does that work?
Justin can answer that. Justin?
Yes, originally, I assumed that we were going to be charged with the fuel, but no, the state covers the fuel, maintenance, all that stuff with local contracts they have. The only thing we have to do is clean it if there's any bodily spillage on the floors. So the only cost is that cleanup cost from the state.
Is there like a special company that does that cleanup, or is it something that Midland County can do?
I know Sanchez has a company that comes and cleans his. That was kind of our plan, was just to use that same company or figure out how, if there's something, if it just needs to be sanitized or what. But there's a special chemicals, I assume, that have to be used for that sort of stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Judge, in light of the emails we got from the hospital that they are not requesting this, and that in light of the fact that Midland County has already solved the problem at no cost to the taxpayer, I believe that probably, my opinion would be that items 4 through 6, whenever you call 5 and 6, will probably no longer be required.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have to agree with Commissioner Prude's assessment.
If I can just jump in for a second, I think there's still would be one cost if somebody is going to have to transport any bodies to that trailer. You know, what had been discussed is, even if we don't do what had been discussed with Sanchez buying the larger unit and altering our agreement for that, if he's going to keep the trailer at his property and is going to pick up the bodies that aren't covered under our current contract from the hospital. I believe the discussion before was that he was going to charge $7.95 a body. And so there would still, the court still needs to decide if they want to do that.
I would, go ahead, Judge.
Judge Kobos, please unmute yourself if you want to speak, please.
Did that do it?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Following what Russell had said, that figure 795, let me break it down a little bit more after talking to Sanchez. It depends on the size of the body. If he used one personnel to go pick up a body, then it's like $160 roughly. If he has to use two people, if the person is obese, like a lot of them are in this case, over 300 pounds, it takes two people, that's the higher amount. So it's based on the size of the decedent and the number of personnel that he uses. I just wanted to add that in there for clarification. So it wouldn't always be the 795 or the 800 or something like that.
But it would go from 100 something for one to 4 times that for if two people went. I've had contact from folks this week, and the prices that have been thrown at me are substantially less. If we're going to utilize a service of transporting bodies, I would like to see us put it out for bid. If Sanchez doesn't want the trailer there, I certainly understand the county has obligation to find another place to put it, but the $795, if it's for two people, dealing with it $795, I'm having other folks tell me a lot lesser prices.
Judge Kobos, I don't think I heard correctly. You said that for one person to help move the body is $160?
Yeah, roughly. I don't have the exact amount, but it's.
And then for two people, is it double the amount, or does it go from 160 up to 795? There's a huge discrepancy there. I'm just trying to figure out if I'm.
Yeah, I'm just telling you what he told me. I don't know the exact amounts, but if he has to use two personnel, of course, the cost will increase.
Right.
Because it takes two personnel, and that's a pretty big individual, and it takes at least two people to move that person. So it's between like 160 and 800 in there. I don't have exact amounts.
Commissioner Sanchez, what the difference is between the 320 and the 790, give or take, is all the equipment that he has to use. They've got to be masked up, gowned up, all of that. And plus there's obviously a profit margin in there. But I got one statement about this. It's apparent that we can bypass all these transportation fees just by moving the trailer down to the hospital.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And I think that that's where it ought to be located. Just put it there. We'll bypass all this. The hospital can take the bodies over and put them in the trailer, and we're good to go.
I agree with that statement 100%.
If I may, that was our original plan. The hospital, Russell Myers, he's adamant about not having it at the hospital. They don't have a secure place to really put it. And I think just the publicity of throwing body bags in there.
Well, let me interrupt and say they didn't want it there because of the morbidity of the site of having that morgue trailer on their property, which doesn't make sense to me, because I think if you want to get people's attention, they ought to paint COVID truck on it, and then people will start wearing their mask and taking a little bit more serious what's going on. Hiding it, I think, doesn't do us any good. But that's just my opinion, and I'm full of them.
Well, I'm going to agree 100% with you. That is exactly right. Put a neon sign on it, Christmas lights, a searchlight on top of it, and blast it across the whole town. That's where it should be. We can find a secure place for it. Again, they just don't want it there. I don't blame them. I mean, no hospital wants it there, but as far as a deterrent, you can't think of anything better.
I agree.
It saves the county $800 every time they have to move a body. I'd like for that to stay in the general fund.
And let me just add, and then I'll be quiet, that I say we, Midland County, Justin, the hospital, asked Sanchez to come in and do a service. And that's how all this started. He was approached. He didn't approach us. Just in defense of him and his prices and his proposal, he was asked to come in and do this for the hospital. The hospital called me in a panic, said, we need some help. And of course, it's outside of our contract. And I said, you'll have to coordinate with Justin and the commissioner's court because this is above and beyond our contract. And so that's how it came in defense of Oscar, since he's not here. He was asked to do this. So, but I agree with everything that's been said.
I want to make sure on behalf of the commissioner's court, if I could, that we appreciate everything that he's done. The fact that he stepped up and did this when he was asked, it's great. But because of what has transpired in the meantime, we found a different workaround that, that looks like it's going to work and it's going to save the county a tremendous amount of money. But we do appreciate his work and his service for the county, or to the county.
Russell, can we just table these items and decide what to do with them in the future if we need them? Because I think the problem's been solved to some extent. So if I could make a motion that we table 4, 5, and 6 at this point, would that work?
Second.
Hold on, Judge Kobos, you have a comment?
Well, I do, because in the interim, he's still picking up bodies from the hospital that are outside the parameters of the current contract that we have.
That needs to be between the hospital and him.
Has he actually picked up a body yet and put in that trailer? Because as far as I know, we haven't used that trailer.
Oh, I don't know. I just know that he makes daily runs to the hospital. I don't know
think
what he
we've
picked
used
up
that
yesterday.
trailer. Honestly, I don't think we're actually, if we use it, I'll be surprised. We got it more just in case we needed it kind of thing. It's better have it than need it not have it. But speaking with the hospital, seriously, Dad, if we put one body in there, I'll be surprised. But again, we need to be prepared in case we.
I hope we don't. I hope we don't.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that right now we have a contract that we can work with, and if we need to amend it, Russell can tell us and we'll bring it back to court and amend it. Because if he does the transportation on behalf of the county, then we'll stand for it, and we'll just see how it works out. Russell?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any comments?
No, I agree with all of that.
Well,
Okay.
I believe we've got a motion and a second.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second. So all in favor
Sorry,
say aye.
I didn't get who the second was. I'm sorry.
I am. Allison.
Randy.
Thank you.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Item number 7, discuss take action on county policy regarding campaign signs on county property.
I brought this up because when I noticed that at the annex, one of the large campaigns, actually 2 of the large campaign signs were put on our county property. That's historically, I don't think that's ever been done. I got worried about, okay, let's go back to the primary where there were however many local candidates on, up for election. And if everybody started doing that, it would be a hazard that the county just can't stomach. And it's just going to become unwieldy. So I had a talk with Russell about this, and he had been thinking about it, and he put out a list of, I think, that are reasonable regulations. If you notice back in the primary, we had all the small yard signs out there, and I mean, by the hundreds, it seemed like, and the wind would take them, they'd break, they'd be flying all over the place. Election was over, and I think you might be able to go out there right now and still find signs from March. I don't think that's the way people ought to do business. We need some policy on this. So Russell, would you like to kind of take it from here?
Sure. So the reason this is an issue is Texas Election Code Section 61.003 provides that when a public entity owns a building which is used as a polling place, you have to allow electioneering out on that property during the voting period. Now, it has to be outside the 100-foot radius that's where it's prohibited. And electioneering includes the use of signs. So that's why we have to allow people to put up signs. And of course, as the commission was just discussing, they've gone all over the place. At first, they were just in the grassy area, and then people started sticking them in cracks in the asphalt, and then started putting up containers filled with sand with them stuck in. And now we've gotten to the large one. And one of the large ones was placed in an area where when I drove through there, I thought it was a danger to people driving through the parking lot because it protruded out a little bit into the area where you drive. So the section that requires us to allow electioneering on the property during the voting period also states that we can enact reasonable regulations concerning the time, place, and manner of electioneering. And so I've been thinking about this since the primary, and had originally been planning to bring this up before the general election, and just never got around to it. So I think now is a good time to do it. I'm glad the commissioner brought it up. And so I did send the commissioner a list of the things that I had in mind, just for at least a starting point. I'd be happy to read those off if y'all would like.
Please.
Okay. So first, the campaign signs placed at the annex can be no larger than 18 by 24 inches. As I recall, I think 18 by 24 is the standard a large yard sign size. So we would prohibit any of the big 4 by 8 signs or anything like that. Campaign signs must be affixed to a wire frame that is inserted into the ground without damaging the property. Campaign signs, and part of the reason for that is that they need to be secured in the ground so they're not just flying all over the place. But also I'm sure someone could think of some they could put a sign on that would leave a big hole in the ground. So I think we need to regulate how they're inserting them in the ground. Third, campaign signs may only be placed in the grassy area at the corner of A Street and Scarborough Drive. This would take care of the problem where people are putting them all over the place in the cracks in the asphalt, etc. And just to kind of reiterate that, signs may not be placed on or in the parking lot or any paved areas. Signs may not be placed until polls have opened for voting. Any signs placed prior to the polls opening may be removed and discarded by the county. And the statute actually does say you can't put up signs before voting has started, but this is just to reiterate that. Campaign signs must be removed within 3 days of the last day of voting. Signs may not be placed in a location or manner that obstructs the view of traffic. Even if they're just in that grassy corner area, I could see some possibility of someone placing them in a way where someone who comes up to the stop sign or to the traffic light is going to make a right turn, their view is obstructed. Any unauthorized signs may be removed and discarded without notice. That way, if someone puts one up in the parking lot, we've already notified them that we have the authority to remove that and discard that. So they're putting it there at their peril. Any damaged signs must be removed or replaced. Those of us that have run for office know, when you have wind and rain, a lot of times the signs come apart or break. And if that happens, a candidate should have an obligation to come and remove or replace that sign. And then the last one, no more than 4 signs supporting a candidate or a measure on the ballot may be placed in the ground during an election. I thought that perhaps if everyone's going to be putting them in that grassy place, we should have a limit on how many signs could be put there. But anyways, these are just the thoughts that I've had. By no means am I suggesting these are the best regulations or the only regulations, but I thought this at least gives us a good starting point, and I think would take care of most of the problems.
Russell, is all that stuff you just read written down in a form that could be made into a motion?
I think so. Yeah, you could make a motion to adopt regulations for campaign for electioneering at the Midland County Annex as described by the county attorney.
All right, everything that you just read, I agreed with, but tell me again, did you say something about there'll be a maximum of 4 signs per person or support per candidate?
That was just a suggestion. And
do you have any problem with us making that 1? Because everybody's going to then put 4 to try to compete with everybody else. Is there a problem with it being 1?
So I don't know that there is a problem. It seemed just seemed to me that might be going a little too far in regulating it. But there is no guidance in the statute as to what is a reasonable regulation. But I thought limiting it to 1 might be just too much of a limit.
Well, I don't mind compromising maybe with 2, one facing one direction and one facing another direction. Mm-hmm. And that way I can't see nobody puts more than 1 or 2 signs anywhere in Midland at one particular location.
Hold on, Randy. You should have seen the grassy part during the primary. There were some, I bet there were 6, 7, 8 of them from one.
I believe, yes, I believe you. That's why I want to limit it.
Yeah. And Russell was trying to come up with some kind of reasonable number. 2's fine with me.
Does this only apply to the annex, or is it applying to all voting places?
It's only to I believe that well, Judge, now that I think about it, that annex is not the only place county property where we have
you got the library
voting, so
by the loop, and
right.
So I mean, I think if it's limited to that, I think you're opening it up for problems. And then also, it's easy to make rules, but who enforces these rules? And, who's the gatekeeper? And mandate. I would hope we would, touch on every element that there's going to need to be in this thing.
I think some of the responsibility and a lot of it would fall on this commissioner's court. All you got to do is drive by and see it. And if you see somebody who's violating, all you got to do is find out who they are and call them. It's not that difficult of a chore.
I think the difficulty that I perceive is normally when you do something on private property or on most properties, you ask the owner of that property whether you can put the signs there. I'm kind of a little bit miffed that they don't have to call the county to approve the signs that they put up there, because we have the ultimate. If we have a policy, they still have to contact us, and they should contact us and tell us what size signs they're putting out there and where they're going to locate them. Just throwing them out there because it's a county property seems to be a little bit problematic to me. But I think rather than the annex to put a election office or election polling place would be best, and then the contact would be that's a self. I guess if they put more than 2 signs out there and they don't remove the signs if the campaign doesn't remove the signs within a certain point of time, then the county will just go out and pick it up. And I'm assuming whoever is doing the security at that location will then be tasked with picking up all the signs.
And my understanding, what I was told is facility goes out the day after an election picks them up. I don't know if that's correct or not. That's what I was told. Another thing, you're making rules that are going to cause candidates to abide by, but if you go by there right now, you're going to see a little A-frame sign for free heaters or air conditioners or whatever. They didn't ask anybody. It's a lot larger than 18 by 24. So I think the rules, then there's a lot to consider, I think. I know they put one of those signs.
Judge,
go ahead.
Judge, those signs can be removed. They do not have a right to put those signs and just signs up advertising businesses. The only reason that there's candidates are allowed to put any in is just because of this specific statute. So if someone has a sign up there advertising any type of business or product or service, we can remove those at any time.
There's one there now. Anyway, we need to, okay. Just an observation.
And I do agree that this should apply to all county property where we have voting. As I was drafting this, the only thing I was thinking about was the annex. It wasn't intentional, because that was the only thing that occurred to me. So if we apply it to any other areas, we would probably to specify the area at that location. For example, at the library, specify exactly where they can go. For example, that grassy area to the east of the parking lot, I think it is. But that would be the only issue with applying this to other properties, is to specify what area there is allowable.
And again, I just hate putting restrictions on folks. I understand the issue, but you've got a campaign that puts 2 signs out, and then the day of the election, you've got the candidate and his wife, and they're each standing out there beside their pickup with 2 signs. Now they broke the rules. They got 4 of their signs out there. I mean, I just see we're kind of getting off into the swamp with it. That's just me. It's my opinion.
There needs to be some sort of rules and regulations. Again, right now we have nothing. So somebody, an entrepreneurial guy could come out with a semi-trailer, park it in our parking lot, and with the sign right on there. But we don't have any regulations against that. I mean, how many of the large campaign signs can you put in our parking lot?
If you want to make an exemption that no 4x8 signs, perfect. But if we're going to get down to regulating the little signs and yada, yada, I think we're getting off into the weeds. I think we really are. I think we're going to upset folks. They have a right to put a sign there. How are you going to make them aware before they put 6 signs out there? You go pick them all up and they just keep putting them out. I know we have a list of rules. I understand 4x8s are offensive and block traffic and block the view. That makes sense. No 4x8s, no semis, nothing like that. But elections are a tried and true American ritual, and it's just part of it, the little signs.
Randy, do you want to study this a little bit and come back? I mean, we'll be through the election season right now. We can come back at the end of this month or first of next year and have a set a policy that might limit the electioneering in this area to the satisfaction of everyone.
Robin, you're asking me the question. I would defer. This was Scott's item, so I would defer to his opinion.
Okay.
And I have no problem with that. This has been just dropped on top of us just real quickly. I think Russell did a great job with coming up with an outline of what we can do. The judge has concerns, which are in a lot of respects reasonable, as far as somebody being out there on the day, holding up a sign and doing this kind of deal. So, we can we can work on this deal. I think, again, we got a good framework here. And everybody think about this. I would like to make sure that we do this before the next election cycle, so that the public and the candidates know, what's expected of them and what they can do. And we have to be reasonable. There's no doubt about it. So I'll just table this, make the motion to table this. Let's all think about it and come up with some additional ideas and bring it back up.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Great decision, and we'll get something good, thanks. Motion passes unanimous. Item number 8, I've been asked to table. Item number 9, discuss take action on bond renewal for the county clerk. Roberto. Did we lose Robert?
No, he's muted.
Mute, Robert. Hello.
He's on his phone.
He's on his-
Still have to get it unmuted.
Oh,
I did. I've asked him to unmute.
Allison, do you know what he's asking?
It's, I just wasn't on the list on Monday, for the renewals of the bonds, that you did for all the other candidates or, office holders.
we're
I'll
just
make the motion.
authorizing. Yeah.
I'll make
go
the
ahead.
motion that we approve the bond renewal for the county clerk.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 You are now bonded, Allison. Thank you.
Judge,
Yes,
Judge, can I have you recall item number 2 so that I can have a clarification on one of the invoices?
item number 2, discuss take action on bills and wire transfers.
Yes, sir. On the Veritech Solutions invoice that I brought to your attention as an additional bill this morning, I just got a couple of texts from Christie indicating that they had negotiated with Veritech Solutions that rather than the 535 that I had mentioned to you, that they took off that 1,226 and the bill is only for 74,309. So they were able to negotiate with the vendor for the 74,309, and that's what I need to be approved.
Okay.
I would make the motion that we amend the Veritech payment to $74,309 as requested.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Is there any more action?
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're out of here. Thank y'all.
Thank you. See you.
It is 9:49. This meeting's now over. Thank you.
Be careful, Judge.
Hey, you're looking good too. How's it feeling?
Well, I'm starting to drive again, so, I've got blinkers on all the time. Little hazard deal. Glad they put that on there finally.
Yeah, okay. Well, congratulations.
All
Thanks.
right, see ya.